Okay, sorry about that. I had an issue with the camera and had to essentially start over. That's okay. Alright. Like I was saying, welcome to my new channel. I'm trying to be debt-free. Obviously not right now, but in the future. And I'm going to go through and write down all of my debt in my new journal so that I can budget and hopefully start my debt-free journey and pay off all of my loans. I have my laptop pulled up next to me so that I can take a look at all of these crazy amounts, as well as my phone as a calculator. Alright. So. And also I apologize for my handwriting. Okay, here's my debt overview. Okay, I'm gonna have to zoom in because you cannot see any of what I'm writing. Hold on. And I'm gonna do my best to start writing bigger from here on out. That sounds good for everyone? Okay. So firstly, I do have a personal loan from my dad. He lent me some money because last year my laptop broke and I was in the middle of schooling. I was getting my master's and I was going to the library every single day and borrowing laptops, which wasn't feasible in the long run, and so I held out until like Black Friday where I could get a good enough deal. I have paid some of it back, but I do owe my dad. So my very first debt, I'm just naming it Dad, my balance is $2,300, and it's at 0%. Thankfully, he's not charging me any interest, but I do want to make sure that I pay him back, and he says there's no rush on it, but still, it's my dad, so I feel bad. And then majority of my debt is actually from student loans. So I'm going to get started with my undergrad loans. I do have 2 degrees. I have one undergraduate degree and then a master's degree. And I did take some time between both, which unfortunately also meant the interests have changed over the years and things are really a lot more expensive now for studying. So my student loans in my undergrad weren't as awful. So I'm just going to name them student loan. So student loan 1-01 is at $2,174.46. And this one's at 4.04%. Yeah. I feel great about these. And then SL 1-02. This is how Advantage has them named on my account. So they're all, for some reason, named SL 101, 102, 103, 104 until you get to 2 dash. Yeah. And then this one is currently at $1,123.24. and it's also at 4.04%. Okay, I'm going to change one thing on my camera settings so that it can stop this. Okay, so my hand is just not going to be in focus. I turned off that little autofocus that was kind of messing me up a bit. So that's 2 of my student loans. SL 1-03 is, hold on, also $2,174.46 at 4.04. So I had a different creditor originally, and the amounts were combined together. There was still groupings, but it was like group A, group B, group C. And so like some of these amounts were broken down when it transferred over to the new debtor, and somehow they got switched out. They got divided up to like even amounts. So a lot of the numbers are going to be repetitive. It is what it is. And honestly, I kind of prefer it because this seems slightly more feasible to work with, whereas before I was having like higher amounts where it was like 6,000, 7,000, 3,000, 2,000, you know? So this isn't quite as bad. 1-04 was $1,107.16. This is also at the 4.04%. Okay, I'm gonna learn to write bigger. SL 1-05 is, hold on, $2,174.46. Again, 4.04%. And then the next one, okay. Oh, actually I made a mistake. This is actually 42 cents. Huge difference, right? SL 1-06. I'm also laughing because I'm nervous and I'm finding this absolutely crazy that I ever got myself into this position. $1,090.55. I'm not quite sure what method to take with my student loans because, yeah, the snowball idea seems great in theory, but you'll see later on that the amount that I'm accruing in interest in these ones is not as harmful as what's happening with some of the other ones, and so I'm trying to figure out what the best method for me to go about it is. And also, I graduated just before the pandemic happened from undergrad, so it's been quite a while. I was trying to pay the undergrad loans off, and I did pay off 2, so they're not here anymore. And then the pandemic happened. I lost my job, and I was at the point where I was, sorry, there's background noise, I live in a city. I was at the point where I was saving money by living with my parents, and so to pay off my loans, I was kind of just using all of my income, which, looking back, I should have saved some up. I had started following the whole like Dave Ramsey stuff, but not a ton. I was only working part-time, so I didn't see it as happening anytime soon. But because I was only working part-time, 3.51. because I was only working part-time, I wasn't making a lot of money. Pandemic happened. I was furloughed from my job for a whole year. Thankfully, I was living with my parents. But I wasn't earning anything, and then my student loans obviously like went into the whole forbearance thing, and I wasn't paying to them because I didn't have any money. And then afterwards I kind of just, they were still furloughed. I was still furloughed. I was still not paying, and I was just looking on at my life in that moment, and I was upset by how much money I had spent on these student loans. And even then, I was still, like, I took a hit on my credit score because of the student loans that I had paid. It's kind of a system that's set up so you can't be rewarded, which is a shame, but I wasn't aware of what I was getting myself into. And so I found it discouraging to have had that happen. And then right afterwards, originally I had been thinking that I would just wait until I paid off my undergrad loans before going on to get a master's. But at that point, once I saw how my credit score was affected, I was like, why am I waiting? Why am I putting my life on hold for this? And I decided I was just going to apply for a master's program, and if I got in, great. If I didn't, then I would just go back to life as it was. And I did end up getting in. But obviously while I was in there, all of the money that I was earning, I was using towards my living expenses rather than my student loans. I was saving up a bit, so and you'll see I did set aside, I did accrue student loans from my master's, but any extra money that was left over, if I was originally planning on using it on books and something happened, never had to buy a book or something, then I just set it aside in my savings. So I do have one big chunk that I will be able to pay off pretty soon. SL1-11, but I figured that it was time to take that step and bring this madness down, because it's actually unbelievable how crazy these amounts are. So SL1-11, and also these are still my undergraduate student loans. Don't tune off quite yet. I do have nearly over $200,000 in student debt. Can't believe I got myself to this point, but I hope that I can stay inspired by doing this channel to pay off these loans. It's going to take some time. This is also still undergrad. Okay, this one is $2,603.67, and it's at 4.20%. You can definitely tell that these are the undergrad loans, not the grad loans. SL1-13. And this one is actually the last of my undergraduate loans. And this one is $961.25 at 4.20%. I remember I did pay off 2 undergraduate loans back in literally right before the pandemic, and then the pandemic hit and I was screwed. So now we start with my graduate student loans with SL1-14, and this one is I just get ashamed just even looking at the amount. This one is $56,868.43 at 7.54%. And this one is the one that's killing me right now. I think I have to check, but this one each month the interest is over $300. If I could pay this off all at once, that would be incredible, and that would give me $300 to use as a snowball and other items. We'll see. SL1-15 is also still pretty big, not quite as big, but about half the size at $20,535.92. And this one's at 6.54%. And then SL1-16, I am nowhere near done, okay? This one is not as bad. Still pretty bad. This one's $13,748.47 at 7.54%. Then we have, sorry, I have to keep moving my hand, SL1-17, and this one is $10,278.08 at 6.54%. And then SL1-18 is $10,280.17 at 7.05%. Yep. Sorry, my handwriting is pretty small. I'll fix that at some point. SL1-19. This one's so bad. This one's $29,896.09. And I'm laughing not because I find this funny, but because I'm so uncomfortable. It's a cope laugh. And from here it jumps to 2, SL2-05. So technically, like the ones that were between this, SL2, 201, 203, 204, those ones were paid off by me. Those ones are the ones that I paid off way back when, in 2020. So 2-05 is at $10,250. Sorry, I should have muted my phone. And no cents, which is kind of crazy. And this one's at 7.05. And lastly, this one's my last loan, okay? SL2-06. This one is also pretty bad. It's $25,140. Also no cents. And it's at 8.05%. So like my total, my total is actually going to be, sorry, let me get my calculator. Okay, $207,936.46, which is really bad. And if let me go back to the page. Hold on. I write down how much interest it accrues. My interest is around like over $1,100. So I don't have a big, like, you know, when people are talking about like taking a shovel to the debt, I am using a fork. I'm using a tiny fork, a dessert fork, to try and shovel out of my debt. I can explain. But right now, I've only just started a full-time job. I don't have a whole chunk of money left over. I do live in an expensive area, which you'll see in one of my hopeful budgeting videos, so just so that I can keep on this and be held accountable to this. Thankfully, I have no credit card debt. I have only student loans and that personal debt to my dad. But I do want to get out of this. Ideally, I would prefer to get my dad the money that I owe him. But with as small a fork as I am carrying right now, I think I'm only gonna have like $30 of a snowball in the beginning. I don't know exactly where I should start on these loans because it's gonna take me so long just to pay off like one of the little ones at the top with like the smaller interest, and then the snowball's not gonna really grow very big. And I feel like this is gonna take something over 10 years to pay off. And at the moment, I can't quite see a future where I don't have debt. It just seems so impossible, and I would love some guidance as to where to start or what I should work to pay. Like I said, I did save up a good bit of money so that I can pay off a good portion of one of these. Pretty much a good portion of any of these. But where do I start that I can have a good enough impact that my next snowball is going to be a lot bigger than the $30 that I have now? But yeah, please, please, please comment if you know where I can start. It just doesn't seem like I can start with like the smallest balance, because like if you go to the $961, yeah, it'll take me a few months to pay it off with like $30 that I have, but right now it's not accruing that much interest, so I can't quite see if that one is worth paying immediately, because then again, the fork is only gonna grow little by little to a bigger fork until eventually it becomes a spoon, but it's gonna take a lot of time. Alright, with that, thank you for watching, and please give me an idea. Give me some guidance.